Rock on. All right, Tina, it's your meeting. I know we each have sections. I am directing the slides, so I'll try to pay attention and turn them accordingly.
Excellent. Do you have that slide deck up? Am I just not seeing that?
Um, okay. No, here comes now.
Okay, great.
Now everybody's seeing it.
Sweet. All right. Welcome everyone. Mallorca 2025 coach training. Tim and I are just going to run through a handful of slides with a bunch of information. We'll kind of plow on through as best we can. And for most everyone on this call, this will be mostly a review. There's no wild and crazy changes from past Mallorca years here, but we're gonna highlight some of the key points, and then for a couple of our new folks, walk through some things. We'll continue to chat, email, meet over the next couple of weeks and in Mallorca, so this is not the end of everything, but a chance to get everyone on the same page. So I'm going to kick us off, run through some things. We're going to talk about the coach house. We're going to talk about rides. We're going to talk about safety. Those are kind of some of the big chunks of things we're going to discuss. So I want to start with we are arriving to Mallorca early together and staying in a coach house. And our entire team this year, I think this is the first time the whole Mallorca team, at least since I've been going, is staying in the house together. So we will have, by the end of the time, 13 of us in our Ubi, Jubi, Lubai, or whatever we decided that town was named, house. Um, these are the arrival times, just so y'all can see when everyone is coming in. Most of us are coming on Friday. We have the house starting Friday at 4, I think is technically check-in time. And then a couple extra folks trickling in Saturday and Sunday. Lori, Jill, Liz, assume y'all are doing your own thing up until then, and we'll meet us on Friday, and then our folks coming after can join. We for our Friday folks, we could do a little carpooling for folks that are coming in around the same time too to arrive on shuttles. So those are arrival times. I think that's it on this slide.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
There you go.
So pre-camp house, again, we have a pretty big house. I've got a link later in the presentation which we can send out and you can take a peek at it. It's got a bunch of bedrooms, which we're gonna talk about in a moment. A bunch of bathrooms, so we should be really covered there. It's got a pool. So just a couple things to say for pre-camp. Should go without saying, but because there are 13 of us, just a friendly reminder for all of us, let's just try to be really on top of keeping things clean and neat and our stuff together. And I'm sure we'll share some laundry and things like that, but let's just we'll try to kind of contain ourselves in that house space. Like I said, there's a pool. If you want to swim, bring a bathing suit as the sit outside space. We've got for shopping, there are multiple grocery stores. As those of you who stayed in the house last year will remember, there's 2 or 3 spots to buy groceries. We can do some split on water. If folks want to go in together on food or snacks, obviously that's an option, but plenty of things nearby, walking distance, that should be pretty easy to grab. Also, as those of you who remember who stayed last year, there's our one favorite restaurant in the middle of the town square where we can do dinner. Only if Jill helps us make reservations again, though, so that they don't yell at us.
Tina, it wasn't me, it was Liz.
Liz. Okay, only if Liz
Liz is
helps us
the
make
fluent
reservations.
Spanish speaker
Just make
of
them
the
for
group.
every night. They couldn't grasp that.
She was the the arm twister.
Yo hablo español.
Yes, Liz, it's on you. Dinner. We're gonna eat dinner if Liz can make us reservations again.
I'm game. I'm good for it.
Perfect. For our new folks, we found a pretty good restaurant. They've got salads and pizzas and sandwiches and all sorts of stuff that was pretty good for dinner. We typically did breakfast on your own. Again, lots of grocery stores to grab stuff, and then ride food, snacks, cafe stops on rides for lunches. Tim's going to talk about rides coming up. So more on that in a minute. The only other thing I want to say is we have our entire coaching team for this camp staying in one house together. So the back of my mind and probably everyone else's mind is just on illness or getting sick. Ideally, we're not passing a bug through the entire coaching team pre-camp. So to that, 2 points. One, in a moment, we're actually going to assign rooms and we're kind of splitting people across the house a little bit and across ride leaders. So on the chance that someone gets sick, maybe we minimize that a tiny bit. The other thing I would say was if you feel sick or feel like you're getting sick, let's just be really cognizant about speaking up early, trying to protect each other, just not sort of if you show up and you're super sick, let's find an alternative option just so that we can keep our team from hopefully all going down before camp starts. Yes. Yes. It is like the whole soccer team can't take the same plane. So, Tim, anything else on the pre-camp house?
No, I mean, the house, and yeah, here. The house is 3 floors, and each floor has 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a kitchen, and a little living area. So it's like 3 separate. I'm just looking at Kai's answer. Kai, here's who's showing up on Sunday. Just you. Can you see the shared screen? I muted you too because you had an echo going on. I can unmute you.
Poor
Would you like
Kai.
to unmute? I let you unmute. You had an echo, so I turned it up. So you're the only one in on Sunday, so you're kind of on your own. Everybody else is in earlier. So just back to the house. I mean, it's 3 stories, 3 levels, and we have a little bit of ability to move people around if some type of illness happens that's planned. So just know, and it's a pretty big place. I actually have it open underneath Tina. We can take a look at it later.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, the address, you all have the access to the link, the address, which was not crazy dissimilar from last year in terms of the general setup. So, yeah, so the room assignments in this case they are sort of intentional. And certainly those of us on the 3rd floor that have singles, we can do some moving around if someone does need a space, to quarantine themselves. So, yeah, that's how we're going to set that up for the coach house rooming. I think that's that.
Yeah, I guess I'm Raj real quick. Paul and I put together some routes for the pre-camp. I shared this collections here. When it just goes out in the email, we'll share it in the email. We don't need to ride these except for there is a new route in the regular camp. So we're going to play with some version of that one of these days. So just everything else none of these are really exactly part of camp, even though they have elements of the camp routes in them. So in the end of the day, these are just some pre-rides. We only have 2 new coaches, 1 new coach, 1 new ride support person. So we really don't need to do a lot of revamping of the routes with 11 of us generally knowing where we're going. So we don't need to practice that. So we're just going to ride and have fun. For me, last year, we definitely had some pace issues here and there. I'm going to ride and look to ride my pace. I'll say what it is. We have routes different people can do. We can ride out and meet for lunch. We'll figure it out like we figured out last year. It's not like we're all that much different. It seemed to work generally fine last year, but just know that, some days will be bigger climbing days. Paul wrote some of these routes and he likes like these crazy backcountry roads that you have 2 walls and a single baseline. So we'll have to see where his goes, but we'll go out and have some fun. Ride schedule wise, I'm going to put one out in advance, just roughly giving everybody understanding of and it sounds like it's so structured, but it's not. Like I'm basically saying, here's what I'm going to do. You can come along. And we can mix them up, ride in our own directions, do what we want. We have last year's routes are still floating around too, if you want to do some of those are around. So I'm just going to put out a general schedule. I want to ride long and I want to ride steady hard. For me, camp always ends up being one day above 100 watts. So I want to get a couple of harder days in here. Um, so that's what I'm looking to do. We'll bounce it out as we go.
And Tim, we might have two possible camp routes to ride, maybe.
Yeah, there's two new routes when we get to it. We'll get to that. Because we have the new we have three versions of a new route to be added. And there is the Valdemosa route that we'll do, which I'm going to suggest we ride the Valdemosa route anyway, because it's a great route from the house. So we probably should just ride it. So we'll see two. We don't have, and well, I'll get to the rides in a minute. So, and that's part of what we're going to end up using in the final draft of the camp routes will probably dictate what we ride here. Really that simple. Tina, you know what? Actually, just while we're saying it.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
That's the house. So it's every level has a little living room, a little kitchen, and 3 bedrooms, pool. See, different living room. A lot of outdoor space, different kitchens. I think there's more than one laundry. There's some, an extra kitchen here and there in some of the levels. There's balconies on some of the levels. You notice they're all different little areas. Very plain from the front. Lots of outdoor garage space and stuff like that. If Scott said he's bringing his ping pong table, so we have a place to put it.
Oh yeah.
So we can get ping pong TSS and stay in shape for camp. There's your pool. There's your house. It's really just around the corner from where we stayed last year. It kind of looks further out, but it's not. The bedrooms, as Tina said, are all doubles. There's a lot of old people furniture in here, so Scott will fit in, him and his ping pong table, so that's good. But nothing special, but plenty of space in this one.
Nothing special. This looks amazing. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I didn't think I could be more excited, and I might be a little more excited now.
Well, you know what it did? It does give us some room to spread out if it's tough putting 13 in as the camp. You have 3 levels, they're distinctive. The top level is all the singles, which we did by seniority. That person might enjoy that room, but they might get shuffled if somebody gets sick. So just know that top floor is the infirmary if we need to use it and start moving people around.
But 3 kitchens is awesome. We don't have to step over each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And the outdoor living, if the weather's great, it's going to work great. So everybody can have their own little particularly, I just thought about it. Scott is stuck on the floor with me and Tina, who probably are the 2 earliest risers. At least I am. So Scott, you're in for it. If you're late night or early morning ping pong, just ignore it. But yeah, no, we're set up for success here. Thank you, Tina, for finding a great house and making it awesome for everybody. That's very cool.
Cool. I'm gonna touch on, no, go for it. Just 3 kind of quick, broad coaching pieces that don't really fit anywhere else. So, pre-camp package and transfer. So I want to talk about this from the attendee side for a moment. So one of the things that we've kind of done in the past years is had this unofficial pre-camp thing that we was like, oh, we'll take you on a ride, or we'll kind of help do a bike build, or Thursday's been this kind of funky day. We just went ahead and formalized that this year and told folks, hey, just show up early. We'll take you on a ride. You basically pay the hotel rate, and but just come early, and then that way we have fewer folks stumbling in Friday morning, kind of cross-eyed, trying to get their skills and drills in, and we just sort of formalize that up a little bit. So we have this pre-camp package. What we told campers is that they come in on Wednesday, they got 2 shuttle options. Thursday, they get bike support, help bike build, and a ride with some coaches, and then they're ready to go on Friday. So that's what sort of we had told them. 31 of them signed up.
Just careful what you wish for.
Great. They got excited, and they're all arriving Wednesday, which is also great. So we need to one of the things that Tim and I are chatting about is just what Thursday's schedule will look like. I don't have an answer quite yet, but effectively the things that need to happen on Thursday need to do that pre-camp ride. It's actually in the bonus route collection. If you all saw those two route collections, the bonus route collection has a link to the ride. It's 42 miles. There's a cafe stop somewhere in there, 2/3 of the way through. So we'll have some folks doing that. We'll have some coaches on site. We'll need them to be on site early enough to do some of the bike builds if we have folks arriving Wednesday night. We already know from our participant call, and those of you that were on that, we definitely have some folks that are going to need help with some bike building. And so we'll do some help there. And then we have, per usual, afternoon shuttles coming in Thursday, non-pre-camp folks coming in Thursday afternoon. Going to be great to have some coaches there to greet those folks, help get them to their rooms, bike things. Everyone's just, jet lagged and tired, and so it's nice to have us there. So those are the things we have to do on Thursday, and we also have to transfer from the house. We have the house till Friday morning, so I think there's some benefit potentially to going early, but we're not time constrained. We do not have to be out of that house at any particular time, so we can make it work. Maybe we do it in 2 groups. We're talking to HC Tour folks about timing on that. So all of that to come, but that's what's happening. Paul.
So we're gonna service the people on Thursday, but not necessarily we move into the hotel. We wait until the next day, or do we have the option to move into the hotel Thursday?
We can move into the hotel Thursday. We just kept the house.
See how it goes. Yeah.
The house was, I think we actually had a requirement to have the extra day anyway, so we just left it for Friday just so that they weren't like, hey, you have to be out at 9 a.m. and we were stressing about it. So
what's going to happen is 31 of the riders and some extra spouses, I think, too, are showing up Wednesday. We're not there. They'll do their first day. They'll get their rental bike. They'll go through that on their own. They'll have dinner. We're not there. We show up the next morning just to make sure their bikes are ready to go. We take them on a very casual ride. We're going out to the little trip Magdalena. We'll go out Pipeline, cut over, drop down through Booger, and go out, climb to that little church and back. So, and that's a casual ride. Everybody knows it's not an official ride. It's just a casual roll. Not all of us need to do that. We're going to ask for a little help. Like some of the people who head over early, the other people come over later, might help us meet some shuttles and stuff like that. We'll figure it out once we get all the final exact counts and how this is going to, because everybody's still paying. We don't know if we'll have more cancellations or what.
yeah. So there's a little TBD.
We'll have to fix all the stripped bolts and broken stems and stuff that people did.
I fixed you and no, that was, where's Paul? Whatever, I'll let that one go. Bike shops. Oh, they broke it. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Tina.
And all that to say, so really when we think about pre-camp, Thursday we're on deck as a team. It'll look a little different. We'll figure out who's doing what when, but Thursday we kind of start.
And that's the official start of camp. It's just the Wednesday they're coming in is to get them in early. And I think that's better. We'll have people a little more alert and ready to roll on day one.
And then Friday, we sort of really start in earnest with the entire, everyone there, really from breakfast forward. We're going to do, like we've done in the past couple of years, 2 skills and drills rides. We'll probably do again in the morning, afternoon, since we'll have so many folks in early. So we will, we'll get that, schedule rolling, but just to kind of walk it through with everyone here, that's what we're looking at. So your arrival all the way up until Wednesday night, pre-camp, Thursday we kick off official. That's that. Just some quick notes, just in terms of who's doing what, some of the check-ins, a little bit is being finalized here, but just overall, if you have overall camp questions, I'm probably your person. If you have specific route ride questions, Tim's going to be your person. As everyone already knows, if you have logistics questions, Debbie's probably your person. It might be.
It's not me?
It's not Tim.
Okay, just making sure.
Tim's third in line.
If that, there's 3 of us and I'm in 4th.
Yes, probably start with Debbie if you have like a payment shuttle sort of question, if it's something on site, then it might be me. But those are kind of your go-to people. If you aren't sure, find any of us and we'll direct you to the right person. We're going to do a couple group meetings. So this year we are going to try to get a group meeting in at the house. We will get that time locked down so we can all feel good about that and just make sure we have the time for it to do sort of a final check-in. And then we'll plan to probably check in on site as well, TBD exactly, but more like last year than, so previous years we used to check in nightly. Last year we did not do that. Goal is to make it more like last year and potentially have a couple different, ways to group up and check in terms of ride leaders, checking in, that kind of thing. So we're not all at 9 p.m. in Tim's hotel room.
I'm in bed by 9. We all know that.
We'll still do this. So last year we also did the nightly emails too to help keep everyone on the same page, route notes, any incidents from the day, things like that. We'll plan to continue those again. If you have any client issues that come up, just please make sure either Tim or I get those ASAP when they happen so we can get things addressed. I know everyone here is, our main goal is coaches and ride sport and folks who are running this campus to make everyone have an amazing trip. And so everyone does that in different ways. It's fantastic. If anything does come up though, just please make sure you are sending that to one of us just so that we are able to follow up as needed for anything. That could be a medical thing. It could be someone who's unhappy about something, whatever it is. If you're not sure, err on the side of over communicating those pieces. And then last thing on my end, so just a quick overview, events, meals, things that are kind of coming up in terms of
And nothing's changed on the schedule, right? I started to read it just before the meeting.
One minor change.
Exactly the same, right?
Almost exactly. One minor change. So anyone who came last year, this looks basically identical to last year. So there's no big surprises. In the mornings, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, so i.e. not our super long days like the Cobra, we will have pre-ride talks, presentations on those, things like descending, pace lining, climbing. There's a fourth one. Efficiency?
Speed economy.
Economy. Ideally, everyone makes it to those. In a perfect world, all of our coaches would pop into that. I know that's not going to happen. We're going to need folks that need bike help or this or that. So ideally, make sure that, if you are one of the ride leaders, you ideally are in there, or the other person, your ride support that's going with you is in there. Someone from each ride group get in that talk, because what will happen then is we want to use those key points from the talk to then coach and review throughout the ride. So we want to make sure at least one of the coaches hears those things and can help communicate that. But again, if you're not doing anything, ideally you are in that morning pre-ride talk just so you can hear what all the clients are hearing, and everyone's using the same language.
And they're the same as last year, so I can share them with everybody in advance too. So you can at least go through they're like 4 slides each. So you know what it is.
Yeah, they're not super long. And
I
then
made
after
one last year in 20 minutes. I was on schedule. It was pretty impressive.
Really quick. And if you have time to, and we'll say this again, but just to say it now, we always could use some help setting up that room prior to 9 a.m. Chairs, projector, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Tina got us in trouble last year. She didn't put the chairs away.
I'm the worst. We got a note in Spanish.
Get a note.
How to read. Afternoon education, we're going to do 2 sessions again. This is the only small tweak. So Sunday, this is probably in this order. Sunday, Tim's going to do a training session. Thursday, which Thursday will be Namrita. I don't know why I have balloons on.
You got your symbols on.
I don't know what I do to make
I'm
this.
so excited for
gestures.
my talk on Thursday.
I am.
Feel this.
I'm excited for Namrita to talk about nutrition. That room. So we have the room 5 to 6:30 on Sunday. The small tweak is Thursday. Technically, apparently that room is booked at 6. I don't know whether that'll actually get kicked out at 6, but we may start that one a little earlier. We may cut it slightly short. We'll kind of see what happens when we get on site. That's the only slight difference. if your ride has come back and you're not already working one-on-one with a camper, not dealing with a saddle issue or something, if you can pop in, just help, direct people, especially on Sunday, people don't know where that room is, in sort of back behind the dining area, getting folks directed in there, making sure chairs are set up, just come to the beginning, help get people in there. We don't need the entire coaching team to be at those afternoon talks. But if we can have a handful of folks help set up, that's helpful. And yeah.
I would just add too, one of the things that I got a lot of feedback about last year was like each coach each afternoon was doing like something special or something nice for one or two riders. One, thank you everybody for doing that. That really is what separates us from your kind of everyday tour and things like that, our ability to act like a community and really take care of our people. Um, I people really appreciated it. I think it's part of what made it special. And I would ask, it's not right, really fair ask, because you do it because you're all good people. But that really is something that makes us special. So if people need those little things, I know it isn't always easy because you want to go back and unwind yourself a little bit. Doing those little things, I think, is the difference maker, which keeps these people coming back and all the great stuff and feelings and tips for you guys. So let's keep that up.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. Again, with the education sessions, once Namrita and Tim are rolling, again, it would much rather, if you're like, I feel like I'm being helpful, do something with the campers. It's gonna be better. On the flip side, so Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, so 3 times. This will be on a schedule. You'll have this. This will be clearly laid out, and y'all have it. But we're gonna do coach debriefs again. So ride teams, the ride leader and supports whoever's in that group those days, at 5:30 p.m. Or if your group gets back really early or a little bit late, y'all can, as long as everyone in the group knows, you can adjust the time a little bit. But being able to again sit outside for an hour, grab a drink, do a debrief, find some space outside if it's nice, answer questions, chat about bikes, have some fun, talk to folks about how their day went, highlight maybe some things, let folks chat, let them ask questions. Really, we're kind of making that a fun opportunity. And for those who haven't been, this used to be sort of a full group, entire camp thing. But as camp's gotten bigger and bigger, it's just really hard to have a whole space for 60 some of us to chat. And so doing it in the groups, we did this last year. It was really fun. You're getting a group of 12 people together, you're sitting with a beer or a sparkly water or whatever and just chatting about bikes and making it fun and figuring out, and maybe something happened during the day that you want to talk out, highlights of the day, things like that. So that'll be, we'll do 3 of those throughout. And that'll be the ride leader and support's job to make sure that your group knows where you're meeting, what time you're meeting, and then y'all are there to facilitate that.
Yeah, and I also think the team did a great job on that. I got a lot of positivity, a lot of positive comments about those sessions and people having takeaways. So that was awesome. Thanks again for doing that and making it great.
And then last thing I'm going to say, so we're going to have we've got the same dining space reserved. So in the big dining area, there is a side area. It's sort of an indoor-outdoor covered space. Got some nice space heaters. Those tables will be reserved just for us. I think technically there's a couple more of us can fit in that space, so we'll kind of see how that shakes out. But we'll have that. It'll all be base camp folks in that room, which will be really cool. Which means you can pick any table to sit at in that room, and you're going to be chatting with base campers, even if you don't know that they're base campers on day 1 or day 2. It'll be a nice way to keep our community going. So just to say, let's try to limit the number of coaches at a table. I know there are 13 of us, so there's a lot of us. Ideally, it's just sort of a coach per table, so we are spreading out and getting to chat with different folks. I know sometimes it doesn't work out that way because you show up late and there's space that's there, there's space that's there. But ideally, we are mixing it up. Same with sitting with different people. It's really easy. You find the folks that you really like or they find you and you kind of end up sitting together. So I would just say, as much as possible, breakfast, dinner, find some new folks to sit with, find some non-riding spouses to get to know, find folks outside of your group, especially those of you who are ride leaders and you're riding with the same 10 people, 8 people every day. See if you can find some new folks to sit with. And then I know some of you have one-on-one athletes there. Totally fine. If you want to have a chat with your one-on-one athlete one night or one breakfast, great. That's completely fine. Talk coaching, keep building that relationship. Just let's just not make it every night one-on-one athlete meetings. I I think that's all from my end on that.
All right, let's talk about the ride groups real quick. If you remember last year, we basically had 5 and certain days 6. This year, we just made it 6 because we figured we'd get the same spread. So we're running 3 performance groups and 3 enthusiast groups. Remember last year we called it tour, but Joy Booker gave us very clear feedback that that wasn't no tour. So she was very right. So now we're performance and enthusiast. Same kind of breakdown, nothing special there. Again, we're running 2 designated SAGs, and that doesn't mean they won't flip-flop at times, but you're going to have one SAG supporting the performance groups and one SAG supporting the enthusiast groups. As many of you know, we survey people and we know we survey them and we ask them their weight and their FTP. And then we ask them what group, we show them the ride groups they plan on riding in and see. So basically what we ended up with is very few of the lower enthusiasts and a lot more mid-level performance and E1 enthusiast 1. We also measure what they answer in the survey and what their actual FTP is. And they were reasonably accurate. Realistic might be the better word here for this one. So that's good. So when we're looking at the groups, 6 people said they're going with P1, but 9 of them actually have the FTP to go with P1. Then you look at P2, it's 15 and 15, but it's not the same 15 people. 3 of these people should go up to the next group. In P3, it's 14 and 13, but again, there's like 3 of these people that should go up to the next group. So they're actually being a little more conservative, which is great. That's a much safer way to play it. But you can see what's going to happen here in the 2 enthusiast groups, assuming the information is generally right. We kind of know a fair amount of what they can do. We might consider either going down to putting this group together. I mean, if there's only 5 riders out, it would be we put them together and give them 2 coaches and move the other 2 coaches into other groups. So just know that, as always, we're going to have to figure it out a little bit to our standard process. The mid-performance range is going to be heavy. So performance 2 and performance 3, definitely would expect, if it plays out this way, to see a 3rd coach in those groups and ready to roll. And I would expect them to become 2 groups. And we might want to even control it to make them 2 groups. Same schedule as last year. We've looked at a lot of new routes, and it's really hard. One, we basically do all the destination stuff in our route selection. So if you go to one more route, you really don't pick up a new destination. Like you get to a point, it's like, what a view, or wow, this is really cool. We are adding a new Steve from customer service submitted a request route. I actually asked him and I have been talking about it for about 2 months, different routes. This actually is a pretty cool route. I've been to the ruins, but not the way. This is the oldest, or one of the oldest ruins on the island. It's a pretty cool thing to just stop for 5 minutes and take a look at. Fun little, but instead of the Arta route where we go all the way out the highway, which is nice, and then we used to come down the beautiful valley where all the trees were, the Lorax trees, but a lot of them are gone now. So it just isn't as pretty. So we're going to try this different route on that day. It rides the same way. It's a little flatter, a little shorter, a little easier, because then we come back and do Calabra the next day. We know that we'll have multiple groups out there. We'll make sure we get the group that wants to come from here and give it a try. We'll get them up. We figure it out. We have on the schedule Classic Climbs again, but we could do Valdemosa on that day. Classic Climbs is such a classic, it's hard to replace. So we're going to see group-wise, what we make a decision on. Then we'll do San Salvador, and we'll finish with Formentor. Based off last year's experience, expect to leave for Formentor earlier yet. Scott said he wants to be out at sunrise, so we'll be out at sunrise. Just, if you remember what happened at noon last time, it just became such a shit show. It was definitely a struggle. So we want to see if we can maybe execute and be coming off Formentor when that happens. That's the new ride. Sorry, could have highlighted that. We'll run the same process. And again, Greg and Briette, you both are new here. So we sign up, we ask all the riders to sign up the night before 8 p.m. This is one of last year's, just to show you what it looks like. You will get the same email each day. You can follow the same. It's just, we use a Google spreadsheet to keep it easy. We have a nice fancy automated way to do it, but it just works better doing a spreadsheet so everyone can see. You'll see different ride leaders each day. And then you'll see the people signed up in the group. Everybody here on this meeting is familiar. The way the ride leadership goes, and Tina, I stole a picture of your slide here. Scott is leading P1, Nathan is leading P2, Tina is P3, Jim is E1, Jill is E2, and Lori, who's watched this in recording, is a new ride leader. She'll be handling the E3. You two might end up together. If there's only 5 riders, you're not going to be together, but kind of together. We'll figure it out. The rest of the coaches, Namrita and I, Liz, everybody, Greg Wagner. Greg is new with us as a coach. He's a great coach, knows this stuff. Greg, thanks for coming along. When you watch this recorded, we'll be excited to see you. Greg is a full-on base camp coach, so obviously knows and can participate in all the meetings, answer coaching questions, everything else. He's experienced at running camps. He runs his own gravel camp up in Vermont and other stuff. Good guy. Briette is joining us. Briette is an athlete. She's one of my athletes. She's a multi-time national champion for Iceland. She's training at that time for Small Nations Games. She's going to join us for some ride support and help support the rides, kind of like the same role that Paul and Kai play. It's nice to just bring some other riders and people into the mix. You'll get a chance to meet her. She will be at the pre-camp with us. I think she was on that arrival list, even though I don't think that's her flight, Tina, just FYI. She's coming from a team camp in Spain into the hotel, so I don't know how much she'll ride with us those first couple of days, but she'll be there. Paul, we know, and Kai, we know. Paul, everybody, Greg and Briette, you don't know him, you'll get a chance to meet him, and Kai, you'll get a chance to meet her too, and everybody when we get together. The way we do it is all these coaches move around, so you always have one defined leader, so they get to know all the different riders. They know who maybe needs extra coaching, or who's a little struggly on the climb, or maybe more importantly, struggly on the descents. So when you get assigned to a ride group, check in with your leader. They'll give you the instructions, and it's their game. So we are the support coaches to the leaders, and we just make their vision happen, which we'll talk about here. When we execute camps, we want to think about coaching. We just think conceptually, big concept, and we talk about this stuff all the time, except I want to edit one for a problem I'm still dealing with today from last year's Mallorca camp. The one, we're going to always run a consistent rolling enclosure. And basically what that means, and it doesn't need to be perfect anywhere except descending, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide, there's always sort of a coach up front and sort of a coach around the back. This way, if somebody kind of slides off the back accidentally, we know. If somebody's taking off the front, we know. Try not to just ride side by side in the middle of the pack as coaches all the time. So we're just spreading out and mingling with the people. The one I probably should have started with is clear expectations. So avoid any frustrations. Like literally, I'm still dealing with the frustration. I won't blame the coach because he's on this meeting, but no, I'm teasing. The thing is, we have to execute a ride format. So what happened last year is we told a group, and I was in the group, and I let it happen. Go ahead and ride this long climb how you want. And like 2 people ended up getting very upset with that because we didn't stop at the planned bathroom stop. Then there was 2 riders early who were mad, and they just stopped on the side of the road. So I had to stop. So you took me out of a big group with 2 riders who had to go to the bathroom. And then when I eventually caught up at Sac-Calabra entrance, there was another rider going to the bathroom that Namrita was waiting for. And I told Namrita to go with the other 2 riders, and I would wait for her because she was actually my client. And she still gives me crap till today because she was mad. She's mad at Namrita. because she was mad because she was the last one up the mountain. Um, I get it. It's all silliness. It's like just ride your bike and have fun. But we need to stop at the marked bathrooms because it is. There are one or two routes like that route where there's a little pull off on a side road that will give women some privacy when we have to use a nature break. Let's stop at those bathrooms. And for the climbing, let's just set a clear expectation. I'm not against letting them all climb how they want because they do, and everybody else enjoyed it. That's the downside. Just say, a clear maybe set of rules or two, like we will stop to the bathroom first, and then we are all going to gather here, and that's the way it's going to work. Highlight reels. Everybody here does this pretty good. Just at the end of the ride, definitely find a couple of things. Nathan does a good job of this. Just playing the balance scale here, Nathan. He does a really good job. I always see him out in front of the gate just saying, hey, here's something you guys did well and you did great and things like that. I think that's so important, particularly as I've seen how base camp has evolved and why our people really enjoy us. And just catching them doing those things right is awesome. And like I said over here, I didn't really need to say it again, hit the planned stops. I know sometimes the performance one group will blow through based on Scott leading the negotiations to blow through, but he's actually been really good. So before I get yelled at, I'll give him some credit, but he still negotiates it through. But everybody should stop. Okay, if it's a 5-minute stop and you're grabbing a quick coffee and a piece of cake and you're rolling on, that's great. Just set the expectation, but try to hit those planned stops so that everybody knows. We did get some of that feedback that even some of the faster group felt they wanted a little more time here or there at places. When we think about just simply the ride process support, just a couple of things. Always make sure you have the most accurate map. When we get there, I'll show you. I updated all the official route names in the route collection for the actual camp, and they all end in 25. That's how you know you now will have the right route, not last year's route or something else. They all end in 25. And then make sure you have your first aid kit. I know Tina's going to go over it. I thought it was in an earlier slide. Maybe I moved it. It's coming. We'll have some first aid kits. Have your flat stuff, have the king things to supply everybody, blah, blah, blah. Riding in your groups, only performance one really should be riding your double pace lines. Performance 2 and 3, sure, at times where it's safe for them and comfortable and whatever, but just know you're going to have danglers and people who are just going to want to spread out. We don't want to force them into double pace lines all the time. We'll coach it through the week, make it better and better as we go. It is what it is. Just no pressure for those other groups to ride the way they don't want to ride. When we climb, one coach up front, one coach sweep at the back. We want to use the rolling enclosure when we climb. One of the best tricks, and when you do it well, it's the best way to do it. Have maybe of the two ride leaders, the maybe not so strong or maybe a little more tired, have that ride leader start up front, have the stronger of the two or having a better day ride leader start in the back. And then maybe, 20% up the climb, start switching. The lead coach can drop back as the back coach comes forward. And this way you can spend time with different people. It's one option. The ride leaders will decide how they want, but just climbing a little bit with each people, people love, like, I need climbing tips. And you can't say pedal harder. So, I don't know, just chat with them and spend some time, the drill. Descending is always the danger zone. No, I know I say this every year, no coach leads down. I don't want to coach first off the mountain, even though they would benefit from following you because you know how to cut line, you know the right lines, you know how to corner. It only encourages them to speeds that they're probably not capable of. So you always want to be second wheel, third wheel, in that lead group, keeping an eye on them, whoever's leading down, but not setting the pace. And no matter what, the only unbreakable rule is a coach is always the last person off the mountain. The worst case scenario is somebody has an accident and we don't know. On the road safety, Tina, this is my picture, but it's you. We will have first aid kits. Who gave us first aid kits?
Jill, do you want to talk really briefly about this? Because we're all going to have awesome first aid kits thanks to Jill. And there's a link in there of where these first aid kits are coming from. And my only note is that just we want to have these on us at all times, and you want to know exactly what's in them so that you know what to do if something happens, you know what's actually on your person. But Jill, do you want to say a sentence or two about that?
Yeah, sure. So, last year we were kind of scrambling trying to find little baggies to put alcohol swabs and Band-Aids in. So I have a good buddy, longtime friend, racer buddy, former client who has had this concept for a business in the works for a very long time and is now going live. She's going live at Sea Otter with the Bike Warrior kit. So she's going to provide me with about a dozen of the little kits that just go in your jersey pocket. And so we'll get to try those out. She's got some other products that are not quite available yet, but it'll be definitely an upgrade from what we had what we had
I,
last year.
I want to be
And
clear. I had my nice little red first aid kit with emergency numbers
yeah,
written on the back last year. I know Scott did. I think a couple other people did. So we won up on the plastic bag.
okay.
But it's time to retire those because we've had those for about 4 years. So that's good.
Yeah, so we'll get to try these out and see how we like them. And I'll bring some extra, heavier duty first aid stuff as well. So
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. And you were so great last year taking care of everybody. Your trauma patience totally rocks.
I tell you, it's like trauma's my bag.
Patience with a C, not patience.
What about what about the SAG?
They'll have
We gonna
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have first aid in the SAG. You'll have a small kit with you, and Jill will have a small suitcase in her room. So we'll be good. Okay. Just going over this again, it has not changed, but we do have two new people. So it's important that we understand what to do in case of an accident. We have a 3-step process. Get them off the road, establish a safe zone. Those are the first two things you do, unless it's like, wow, this is like, if your immediate assessment is holy crap, this is super emergency. But that's the first thing you do. Then you assess and react. So off the road and establish a safe zone are first 2 steps. I have my fancy road diagram here. What we want to do is get the person off to the side of the road, put one ride leader or a competent person in your group on one side, one ride leader, or and they need to do this, right, Paul? You on the other side, establish a safety zone. Each person should be about 20 yards or meters away from the downed person so cars have enough slow time, and just slow traffic. The hardest part is actually getting people off the road, because no matter what, and I've seen this too many times, they'll just stand there in the road like they don't know what to do, and they're just going to stand there in the road. You have to actively tell them to get out of the road. So you just need to take control of that, make it happen. Assess and react. We have the same little decision tree. It really just mimics the first aid, which I put in this present, and then we're Q&A, so it is almost over. Your first aid kind of emergency training. If you have an accident, first thing you're looking at and you're determining is how severe are the injuries. Let's face it, we usually know, right? We've seen it enough ourselves. We've probably been in a couple enough ourselves. Like, this is bad. I need to go down one kind of series of decisions, or they're scraped up. I see some road rash. They're sitting up and already embarrassed and saying they're going to ride home. That's another set. If they're severe, we know the understanding. Be careful moving anybody who is hurt or unconscious or potential neck injuries. If it's that bad, we don't hesitate. We immediately dial 112 in Spain. That's emergency service on the island, and Spain does emergency service track your phone. So even if you can't say where you are, you tell them to track your phone. And then if we have somebody injured that bad, when you have a moment in dealing with the crisis, text Tina or text the whole group. It actually helps everybody know. But in your text, put useful information. Like bad accident, rider down, that only creates stress out of every other ride leader. Bad accident, rider down, ambulance on the way, one coach going to hospital. That's the information that we need, because then myself as the ride leader, Tina as the camp leader, Namrita as a company owner, we're going to make decisions. Who's going to go home? Do we help the hospital? Do we need to go get a bike? We'll start coordinating SAG and putting anything in control. Pretty much, if we have those emergency situations as the ride leader, I will take control, because it's better if one person is. Get this right. Like, we'll have SAG pretty close, as we know. So there's support pieces and parts and things that we can do. But just remember, go through that. If it's minor injuries, treat as you can. Use your fancy kit now. Clean them up and let them make the choice. They can get in the van and we can SAG them home. A lot of times they want to try to ride and do whatever. We've all been here. It is the rider's choice unless you determine they have hit their head or injured and can't make a good decision, or they're clearly injured and just being stuck. Like, wow, your arm's broken off. It's like you're the Black Knight, Mighty Python and the Holy Grail. No, you cannot ride on. But otherwise than that, let them ride on. But before they ride on, a coach must check over their bike and make sure it's safe. So no change in that process. If you've gone through the CPR or the first aid training, it really sort of is the same process in the specific that we're following. So just make good decisions through that. That's your safety training. We're not going to go into deep. I'll spend a little time with Briette and Greg when we get there, just making sure they know the flow, particularly safety and accident and how to support the lead coaches. But I think we're done and open for questions.
The only other thing I'll say on that is just please do that online CPR training. If you've done it in the past 2 years, you're clear. But if you haven't, it'll take an hour of your time. Please do that.
Tina, is it every other year?
Every other year.
Every
If
other
you
year.
did it last year, you should be good to go.
You guys, and here's why you want that. If you don't have it, they could potentially come after you individually. It's seriously, it's why we maintain insurance on the camp. We have a special insurance, not USAC, doesn't cover anything out of the country. We have real insurance on the camp, and obviously that protects us and everything. But if you're negligent, like you don't have like that done because it's being requested by the company, you open your personal self up to potential liability. That shouldn't be as scary as it sounds, because they have to sue you in Spain. So they got to get you back to Spain to sue you. But it is problematic for the $75 it is in the online course. It's probably worth knowing, let alone the fact that you can help somebody. It can be the difference maker.
Hey,
Isn't that like the reason why the very first step is to introduce yourself and ask them if they want you to help?
Yes. You are giving consent.
Without actually saying, you won't sue me if I help you.
But it's not the fact that you help them.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they expect you to be competent at this. So you can't be negligent in that sense, because that null and voids the consent agreement.
Yeah.
hey, Tim, do we have an update on the second round of clothing, which I guess would include the Camp Mallorca jerseys?
Yes. Donnie said you were carrying it all over.
Well,
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
I'm gonna bring them all.
Donnie said, I talked to him today. Everything's mailing out the 17th. And I have a special job for you and Tina, though. Email him right now and tell him not to ship it to you. Literally, all the 3 people in Boulder, one person waited like 2.5 weeks. It went to New Jersey and had to go back to Boulder. So just tell him you'll go get it, please, so he doesn't ship it around the countryside. But it goes out the 17th. He expects everybody to have it by the 21st or 22nd. Jill, Liz, and Lori are leaving early. I headsed him up and told him to get those out the door as first packages and make sure that they're going to be there. So everything should work timing wise. I'm asking him to bring over Briette. Donnie is going to bring your kit because I don't want to ship it it'll never get to Iceland in time, and she'll be in Spain anyway. And I think somebody else might be carrying somebody's jersey or some other deal.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah. So it's all going that way. For those of you waiting on replacement vests, those ship Monday, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So you'll get the vests, don't panic if your new Mallorca jerseys in it, because you can get another order 2 weeks later. Other questions?
That list that you had that showed the self placing of groups as well as FTP placing, that had like 49 people. Is that just because not everyone answered that survey?
Not at the time I pulled the image. I
Okay.
think we're a little closer now.
So
Like Doron.
Right.
Is there a chance Doron's going to cancel, Scott?
There really isn't. No, I just talked to him 2 days ago. He's all in.
Okay.
That's a ticket. I mean, subject to change because he's,
He doesn't want to pay. Not to talk personal issues. He's giving
Yeah.
Debbie a hard time, and he better stop because Debbie's going to get on a plane and go kill him.
all right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know, don't get
should-
involved. It's fine. She'll work it out. But I've never seen Debbie frustrated. But today she was a little frustrated.
I know he's been just mega slammed with work,
Yeah.
just 24/7. So he probably just hasn't sat down with his credit card, but maybe
No,
there's something.
I just want to know if he's going to back out because we have a list of desperate people who want to go. We just don't have the rooms.
Right.
we should have 54 riders. I think that's our rider count right now, subject to one or two.
And not everybody answered the question. That could also take
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the numbers out.
Okay.
Like they answered the rest, but they put FTP, I don't know, group, I don't know.
Tina, did you
You said-
see Kai's comment there about Zwift in real life?
Yeah, I did not know about that. I was gonna look that up.
Hey, Tina, you said 54 riders. We had 60 some last year, right?
56.
People. Well,
Oh, that included coaches. Okay, so 54. So we have 54.
54 not coaches, not nine. We have close to 80 people, coaches, non-riders, riders this year. So we are bigger than last year.
And do you know how many are not base camp people? Like, like,
Up 30.
A third.
Yep.
oh, really? A third of them are not have no
Uh,
previous connection with base camp?
So am I overstating that? I might be overstating that. Yeah, it's probably less than that. I haven't, I have to go back and look. It's not, it's probably, that was probably an overstatement, but
Yeah, it might be even a little less. It's definitely there, and they have relationships to base camp. There's only like 3 or 4 people who don't know who we are, besides
there's, yeah, there's a handful that are sort of
Friends of a friend.
semi-connected.
yeah. So, Nimrod, I saw your hospital question. I don't know if that got answered. Our preferred hospital is the one right behind the hotel. When we do our safety on site, I'll give you the little map. But you walked to it last year with Julie.
Yeah, we did. They just didn't take her insurance, so she didn't want to do anything.
And people, we talked about it in the public session that Tina and I did Wednesday. I said it cost you $350 if you go that way. It's up to you. The Zwift hotel, yeah, we've known about that for a while, but I can tell you that we could have rented a bunch of rooms at that Ibo Star, the hotel they're staying at. So I don't know if it's very full or what their success, but they will be over there having fun. We're sold out. We had 46 cancellations. So overall, we've sold. We originally attracted 110 riders, and we have 10 who would come right now if we had rooms. The hotel's sold out. So that's a problem we have to work on next year. Maybe we'll chat about it one night over dinner and a beer, like how we get better commitment and, do we need a little more deposit? Do we change up some of the policy, how we get people? Or the other question is, dare I say it, Tina? Do we do 2 weeks? We certainly have, if you were to sit here today, I don't know where the economy is going to be a year from today. But if you sit here today, you would say that's a no-brainer. Because we've also been sold out on the website generally since September. So what if we would have kept going? So we'll have that discussion when there. But we've done 2 weeks. Scott and I think are the only two that have done a 2 week.
To live it, tell about it.
What's that?
We were the only ones that lived to tell about it.
Yeah, I think, Paul, did you do the 2 week year?
I I don't think I can recall. Not with you. Did we do a 2 week with Velocious?
Yes, with
I've
Velocious, yeah.
done 2 or 3 with John as
Yeah.
well.
It's a it's not twice as hard, it's 5 times as hard. That's the struggle.
Yeah, yeah. You especially with what you said. You never go over 100 watts. Well, yeah. Spend 2 weeks never going over 100 watts.
Yeah, we ain't doing that. But it's just you get exhausted by that second week.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll be
And you
high.
start confusing people. Like this is a new person that's never given you any kind of friction, but somehow you've had friction from someone else, and you start to, yeah, your nerves can get a little bit frayed.
And the hotel really, we can't take more than 80 people. And like this year, we have more non-riding spouses. So that took riders off the road because that's all that fit in the dining room. The hotel doesn't want to give us more rooms because we end up leaving on a Saturday and we leave Saturday and we kind of screw them out of their Saturday night booking because they can't book the whole weekend. So, and that's been a little bit of a frustration for them. So we could probably get a better rate and some better deals if we go to 2 weeks and connect without leaving a dead night in there. So there's advantages. We'll talk about it when we get there. I'm mixed bag. I mean, I'm not really for it, but we had 110 people by camp. If we would have had 2 weeks and been a little more flexible, we probably wouldn't have lost all those people. We'll talk about it. I do think it is.
What did it mean by lunch issues? I know Namrita answered in text talking about the sometimes it was hard to pay, but I do recall, we did try to move them along a little bit quicker at lunchtime, just so that it didn't turn into a 2 hour lunch. Sometimes I felt like I was really rushing people, but I don't know if you got any complaints about that. But we are going to try to make the lunch stops a little bit quick. I mean, we have so many nice stops along the way with the sag wagons. It's almost, sometimes I felt like, oh, people hardly even need lunch, but it sure is nice to sit down once or twice.
I think you got to read the group. There really is no answer. Like I was making fun of Scott and moving through the towns before, but he's doing the right thing. I mean, that's reading the group. They do want to move at that pace. I think other groups, you're always going to have a little bit of a mixed collection. Jim, so I think just manage it how you see it. Jim, if you didn't get the email from Tina.
He's asking for the coach collection.
Oh, yeah, I'll send it when we post this. It's linked in here, but I'll link it.
Will you please add my new one that I added today? Because
I did.
Oh, okay, good.
I did.
Because
I will take your notes out though, Paul. You have to be careful what you put in the notes.
Oh, what did I put in the notes?
Like, and people crashed here because everybody went left. Right. I was like, we can't have that. Speaking about negligent, we know you're going to crash.
Oh, okay.
All right, take them out. But
no, we're taking bets that somebody crashes here. No, but it made me, as I'm laying it out, I'm actually like, oh my God, I remember that. Oh, I really want to do this ride. So yeah.
There's a couple of new things. If we do the Southern Coast, there's some amazing, great roads out there heading down and coming back. Some things you guys have never seen. We'll have some fun on a couple of different deals. So just the ride, the day we have that ride, there's actually a 90-mile version also, which I think it's 87, I think, to be specific. So I think the performance group will end up on the 87. I just don't want to broadcast that early and have everybody be like, oh, I'm going, because it's really cool because you ride out of our hotel and you look at the Mediterranean on the north, and then you go all the way to the Mediterranean on the south. So it's a full island crossing. It's flatter, but it's a full island crossing.
And you'll have that person who's wanting to do 500 miles. She'll want to do that just to get the 462 up.
So I think once we get a feel, I want to wait till we see people on day one and a little bit of day two. Based on the way that the FTPs look, we probably could pull it off. So because it's flat. There is no defined climb, and there's a lot of fast roads. But coming back from that route, I know those roads really well. Every team I've ever been down there with uses that area, the Luc Major area, for training. And those are just some fantastic roads that we never usually reach. So, and you say the ride down is great. So that should be pretty cool. Jim's in charge of map routes. I like it. They voted for you in chat, Jim. It was a landslide. You won. For a moment, they were going to elect Olive, but then they're like, "Oh no, she might not be old enough yet." So now
I
it's
missed that. I
Kids,
missed that. I'll have to watch the recording.
I just want to say again how excited I am. I love this. I'm so excited to hang out with all you guys again. It's so much fun. Winter in South Central has been terrible, and I am just counting down the days to hang out in the Mediterranean with my friends. So thanks for being my friends. I'm excited.
good way to close it.
Nice. Hey, Tim,
Yes.
it's still missing one of my routes.
It is?
I'll connect with you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let me know.
The
Message
one
me
I
out.
sent today. Yeah.
Kai asks, are we all using iPhones? Yes.
I will not have access to an iPhone because of my current work situation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to scratch that. But we now have FCS on the Android, so I can actually see your texts now. But I won't have Find My Phone for iPhones.
Since the SAG uses WhatsApp, maybe we'll just flip everything to WhatsApp. But he's talking about tracking.
You can do tracking through WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do that.
Why don't we just all agree we'll use WhatsApp while we're there? We'll make one list. It's fine. That makes it easier.
Sounds good.
Okay. Sorry, but
right. WhatsApp is easy. I mean, it's universal. It's encrypted, so we can say what we want. All right. Any final questions?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for being on. Look forward to riding with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.